This is a really nice black, you can tell because it looks like I'm a ghost. Hey, what's up you guys? It's Unusually Horrid, and today I've got for you 2 different ways to wear a traditional smoky eye. So on this side we have the beauty school traditional totally classic all black smoked out eye, and on this side we have the more modern twist that I see fairly regularly on Pinterest and Instagram. So in beauty school we went through our little makeup class, you know, as you do. And I feel like at the time, whenever I thought of a smoky eye, I kind of thought it just meant like this outside part, and then you had like a silver or cream or something like here. I didn't know at the time that a true traditional smoky eye is all black, just blended out. So that's what I did on this side. But I've noticed that this isn't something that is as popular as it used to be. At one point, smoky eyes were pretty much what was standard for, well, any sort of glam look. Yeah, smoky eye was pretty much your standard for a glam look. And then we kind of went towards the way of a cut crease and adding more color and adding more dimensions. But I've also noticed a trend in the last couple of years that people are starting to back away a little bit from all the cut crease and all of those really super dramatic, crazy looks, and going for something a little bit more along the lines of this side as far as what I see people wearing daily and as far as what comes across my personal Instagram feed and my personal Pinterest feed when I'm looking up makeup, specifically whenever I'm looking up new goth or alternative makeup styles. So whenever I'm looking at these, I often notice a trend of them being orange like this color, and usually just one solid monotone color, usually with a highlight popped in there as well in between here and there. Now, I really like this look. It's something I've tried to achieve a lot on my own. I feel like especially the brows in these pictures are something that I just can't seem to ever really get myself. My makeup routine slowly changed and I started getting really used to wearing this type of smoky eye, the more modern take on the traditional technique. So let's go ahead and cut. I'm going to show you how to do both of these eye looks and show you how similar they are and how you can switch things up and whether or not to do a bold liner or just keep it classic. So okay, so to start with my smoky eye, I'm going in with my Morphe Artistry palette, and I'm going in with, they usually just typically stick like a pretty basic black and then give it a new name every single time, but I will be using their version, of which the name I don't remember. And I have already gone ahead and put some concealer on my eye, but I'll go ahead and kind of freshen it up with my beauty blender before we go in with the pigment. Okay, so I like to start out with this same kind of, this flat, mildly tapered brush. This one is excellent for picking up shimmer and pigment. It also is pretty fluffy on the ends, so it blends really nicely. So it's a really good brush to use for smoky eye. So I've got my pigment on there packed pretty good, and I'm gonna go ahead and start right in the center of my eyelid. You just want to really just do light tapping. I'm not swiping or smudging. I am just tapping that pigment right into my skin. This is a really nice black, you can tell because it looks like I'm a ghost. That's all I'm asking for in a black. Not patchy, just void. But the trick to a good smoky eye is starting off with as much pigment as possible on your lid before you start to blend. Now that I've pretty much gone and blacked this eye completely out, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to blend this out the way I was taught in beauty school. So I'm going to go ahead and take the same brush, I'm just not going to add any more pigment to it currently, and I'm going to go ahead and start just very lightly back and forth swirling motions, blend that top line of pigment out with this brush first. Once that's blended, I'm going to go in with a fluffier brush. Okay, so now that I've blended out that kind of top line a bit, I actually lied. I'm not gonna go in with my fluffy brush quite just yet. I'm gonna go in with a much smaller tapered brush and really buff. That looked really creepy with this eye like this. Like, I'm sure that one looked normal, but looking, I can see myself in the viewfinder just like, hey guys, this looks like bad Halloween makeup so far, mostly because of the fallout. But that is why we're gonna continue blending with that tiny little brush to just really buff that out before we really smoke it out. So when I use this really small tapered blending brush, I do like to put a little bit more of the pigment right onto it, but really, especially with this pigment, it's so bold that I don't want a lot. I just want enough to be able to blend it out without having so much of a line there. So I'm just gonna tap it into the product before going in. So now that that is buffed out, I'm gonna go in with a fluffier, bigger brush to really smoke it out. So I'm gonna take this fluffy brush here and continue to buff this out. I'm not gonna put product on this at first unless I feel like I need to. As you can see, I'm kind of taking the pigment off of the lid and working it into that blend, which is why you want to pack so much pigment directly onto the lid at first, because eventually it will help you blend and make it look smoky instead of like patchy or streaky. Eventually too, it's a good idea to wipe the brush off because sometimes you can get too much pigment and I don't want to bring more pigment into this area that I'm trying to blend out. Okay, so now I think it's desperately time to get rid of the raccoonage that has happened underneath. So of course I have my trusty makeup eraser and we're just gonna wipe that right off. Okay, so now that that is totally blended out to my liking on this side, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this side alone for now until I get the rest of my base on, and then I'm gonna go ahead and smoke out the lash line down here. But I'm gonna show you how to use this exact same concept to do one of the most popular eye makeup looks I see on Instagram and Pinterest these days. It's literally the exact same concept, because it's just a smoky eye, but here's why I think it's relevant to learn a smoky eye in 2020, because it's coming back just with color. So they've taken this smoky eye and just kind of transformed it into something a little bit softer. It's also a nice alternative to have something that's kind of as trendy and glam as a cut crease, but something that's so much more simple, and I think it's a little bit more accessible to beginners than something as dramatic as a cut crease. But I feel like this technique, even with color, still gets you a really nice glam look. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you pretty much the exact same thing, just with the color that I see the most personally on my Pinterest and Instagram. So it probably reflects more on my personal tastes, but it is just the one that I see the most often. Okay, so I popped some highlight on the inner corner and the brow bone for some extra drama on this side of the smoky eye. And I went ahead and smoked out the under lash line, and I popped on a dramatic lash. So that's how I usually like to wear a traditional smoky eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you now how I would wear a more modern version of a more colorful smoky eye. So I'm going in with that same Morphe palette. This color right here is what I used for my highlight on my inner corner, and I'm gonna use the same one on this side as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and use this color right here for this side. And I'm going in with that same fluffy brush, and I'm doing it the exact same technique that I used on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and pack that pigment right onto the brush and tap it in. The fallout is real. And then again, I'm just going in with that same brush, back and forth motions, blending out that top line of pigment so it's not so harsh, because we don't want harsh lines on a smoky eye. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with that smaller tapered brush and go in again and blend out that top line of pigment again. And like I said earlier with the smaller one, I am adding a bit of pigment onto that before blending. Now I'm going in with a fluffy brush to blend that all out and smoke it out a little bit more before I go in and add an eyeliner. And now I'm going in with this little brush here to go ahead and highlight this side the same way I did with this side. I'm gonna go ahead and take my fluffy brush again and blend out the highlight. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pop in some white eyeliner on the waterline, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put a big dramatic wing on this side. Okay, now that I've got a nice dramatic wing on this, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my base around this eye and smoke it out under here and pop a lash on for some final thoughts. So now you can see the difference between this side and this side as far as liner goes. But yeah, I hope you learned something. I hope you learned a little bit about blending, because blending is all you really do in this look. It's just one color. You're not messing with a cut crease with your concealer at all. You're not switching between a bunch of different shades to get an ombre at all. All you're doing is blending. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any other makeup questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. If you want to hear any other stories from beauty school, or any other makeup tips from beauty school, or hairstyling tips, or any questions like that, go ahead and leave those in the comments below as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a good day, have a good night, have a good life. Unusually Horrid out. Okay, bye!